Hello, we are transmitting to you from our present, which we can only assume is your distant past, the turbulent time that was the early 21st century. Fearing the great cataclysm that will surely befall our civilization, we began this monumental reference of strange and obscure human knowledge. These recordings represent our attempt to compile and preserve wonders and esoterica that would otherwise be lost. Whether you're listening from an advanced civilization or have just reinvented the technology to decrypt our transmissions, this is our legacy to you. This is our time capsule. This is the Omnibus. You have accessed entry 916.JB0712, certificate number 41344. The Penn Cove whale capture.
So we ended up down here in Penn Cove, and that's where it all happened.
Today's episode is co-hosted by Christopher Frizzell, my longtime friend, who was once the editor of The Stranger newspaper, who is the host of the Silent Reading Party here in Seattle, and also the host of the Frizzlit Book Club, which is an online Zoom book club that started during the pandemic. We read Moby Dick together and then all became addicted to his book club, and now he is running a book club throughout the year. He's a fascinating person, lives in a decrepit Capitol Hill apartment building where the walls are lined with musty books on shelves so teetering that they seem to me to be at risk of bringing the whole building down. So without further ado, Christopher Frizzell.
John, have you ever known someone who only eats one thing?
Well, my sister is what I call a Taco Bell vegetarian.
Please tell me what that is.
Well, she's vegetarian. She doesn't want to eat meat, but she also wants no diversity in her food. Like, she's not interested in vegetables, right? She's not interested in food, really.
Right.
And so what she would be perfectly happy to eat, like refried beans, vegetarian refried beans on a tortilla with some cheese, pretty much every day of her life.
Wow.
And the problem is she continually gets server jobs in fine dining restaurants. Where she's working in one now down in Pioneer Square, where the chef comes out every day and is like, oh, look at this amazing beef tartare and this incredible octopus steak. And she's just dying inside.
Right.
Both as a vegetarian and also as someone who just wants a bean burrito.
God forbid a customer says, what's the best cut of meat?
So she used to work at Pichet, and customers would come in and say, like, tell me about the wine. And Susan would say, why don't you tell me about the wine? And 95% of the time, the guy who wants to know about the wine actually just wants to talk about wine and wants to lecture her about wine.
Right.
And so she would sit there at the bar and the guy would be like, and that one has smoky notes of fruit and leather.
Right.
And she'd be like, right.
Mouthfeel. He'd say mouthfeel.
She's a great listener, so she gets away with a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Only eats Taco Bell vegetarian. That's a good example.
Thank you.
That's a good example.
Thank you.
In my early 30s, I dated someone in his late 20s who only ate McDonald's. That's just all he would eat.
There are those people.
I just couldn't understand. I'd have like an extra seat at a very fancy dinner restaurant, and he'd just be like, can I just go to McDonald's and see you later? And I was like, you're crazy.
I do have an Orthodox friend who, can't really eat in restaurants because they don't, and so we would go out to eat, and he would bring a jar of peanut butter, and he would sit and eat peanut butter with a spoon because they weren't kosher, and there was just no way he could. But he did want to go to the dinner. He wanted to come to the event. And I was like, there's got to be a better workaround than like a jar of peanut butter in your coat but that was what he did.
I will say, I don't know if you have a desert island food, like if you only had one food that you had to eat forever on a desert island. I will say that crunchy peanut butter is my choice.
Pretty good.
It's just all you need.
When people ask you that question, like what nationality of food would you pick if you could only have one? What do you say?
Oh, I've never thought about nationality of food.
Yeah, like Mexican, Thai, Italian, Vietnamese, Portuguese food, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Guyanese food.
It would probably be either Italian or French or Mexican.
Okay.
I just have romantic feelings about French food, even though I guess, like Italian, it's only really a couple things over and over and over.
Yeah, how often do you really eat French food?
Well, you mentioned Pichet.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite restaurant.
People who listen to the show know about Le Pichet because
Yeah.
Ken and I talk about it quite a bit.
Okay, yes.
But you go there and they have steak frites and they have that half a chicken that takes an hour to cook.
Which is what everyone should always get.
And they get, in the winter, they have French onion soup. I mean, the menu's only like 9 things.
Yeah, like a little French cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's tiny and well tiled and clattering and full of mirrors. You just actually feel like you're in a real city, as opposed to every other restaurant.
Briefly.
Yes.
And the servers are rude and don't know wine.
Right.
Or one of them.
But man, it's great. It's great. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Or Italian. I mean, who doesn't like Italian food? It's pretty hard to not like Italian food.
Yeah, but that makes me fat.
Yeah.
You and I are men of a certain age and timbre. We're talking about your boyfriend that only ate McDonald's. And
Yeah.
it was earlier yesterday I said, how are you going to get down here? Are you going to take an Uber? And you said, I'm going to borrow my boyfriend's car.
Yeah, different boyfriend.
And I know because this is big news. You've been a confirmed bachelor for a long time. In fact, I asked you not very long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, like, hey, well, you dating anybody? And you were like, never again. And now all of a sudden you just drop this like boyfriend's car into conversation.
I would say for about 10 years, I've been convinced that the secret of my happiness, which I've achieved a kind of happiness unknown to me before, I'm kind of a depressive, moody type, has been directly related to being single. And the freedom of being single, the way that I can do lots of creative projects that don't make sense to anybody, and I can hop from one to the next, and I never have to tell someone what I'm doing or
ask permission.
No, yeah, or try to summarize what I've been up to, or I don't have to, I can just do whatever I want, has been so thrilling that I'm as surprised as you.
And what was the meet cute? Did you guys meet on a train? Is this some, we met on Hinge? Oh no, Hinge isn't what you would use. It's
No.
It's some app called Slapper or something, right? Grabber.
Grindr, yes.
Oh, Grindr.
No, it's not Grindr.
Oh.
This is someone I've known for about 19 years. He's been married all of that time to a man. He's a theater director. I've actually written scathing takedown reviews of his theatrical productions in The Stranger long ago and far away. But I've known him from a distance for a long time.
Admired him.
Admired his. I've also written very positive things about his work as well. Theater, it doesn't always go right.
I'll tell you, in this town especially.
But about, I don't know, this is only 6 months old. About 6 months ago, I reconnected with him, actually wanted ideas about how I could get involved as a creative person in making theater or directing or writing for theater, and confessed partway through our conversation like that I'd had a little crush on him. Not that it mattered since he was married. And it turned out his marriage had just changed and things were changing and he actually was available. And so then we went on a date and yeah, it all happened from there.
Cartoon Hearts. Wow.
Cartoon Hearts. Yeah.
I should say to our listeners, when I first met you many, many years ago, you were already the editor of The Stranger.
Yep.
Which was at the time our main source of news here in Seattle.
Yes.
The best alternative weekly in the country,
yes.
I think.
Especially back then.
Arguably. Maybe Village Voice was competing with you, but they were a very different animal.
Yep.
And you were so young.
Yes.
You were frustratingly young to be the editor-in-chief of this newspaper. How did that happen? How did you get that job?
How did that happen?
You were like practically a teen.
I was 27.
Okay.
I was 26 when I was told I got the job. But I was the editor from 2007 to 2016. And I'd been at The Stranger already for 4 years. It turned out I was just one of those people who loved going to work. I remember on the weekends being frustrated it was the weekend because I wanted it to be Monday and back at work. I had the opposite of Sunday scaries. I was such a dork. I loved going to work. And one of the things I used to do was, Dan Savage was the editor at the time. And we
not somebody who wanted to be the editor.
We would grumble among ourselves about how much he would change pieces after we turned them in. And so the idea became like, what if we could pre-edit the piece so that when Dan sees it, there's really not much to do, so he can't unravel it all or change it all around. So I became the person who voluntarily would like meet you on the weekend over brunch and do a pre-edit of your feature before you turn it into Dan. And I have a couple strong memories of doing that with different writers. So then the day came when Dan's column got greenlit for a pilot on, God, I want to say it was HBO. It ended up not airing on HBO, but then they made it for, I think, MTV, and then there was a show called Savage You. But anyway, he started to get these TV deals, and then his mom died. So he needed a little 6-week break at some point, and he said, will you take over for just the 6 weeks? And I said, sure, but are you sure I'm ready? I don't know if I can do it. And he said, you're already doing it. It had come to his attention that I was pre-editing everybody's features. And then his mom died, and he said, I actually need to step down just because the TV stuff and his mom's death, and he tapped me to take over.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ran a good shop there. That newspaper was an unruly beast.
It was unruly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad it seemed like a good shop to you because it was a daily panic attack, pots and pats down the staircase kind of feeling.
I got the behind the scenes like expose kind of every week from various people.
I'm sure you did.
but the paper came out every week.
Yeah.
And somehow it was entertaining for most of that time.
Yeah, it was kind of a golden age. Yeah. I mean, that was also right before social media really took over the world. I mean, that's really the issue. That's why there's no good small publications anymore, because Section 230 makes it you can commit all kinds of crimes on your social media. You can libel people, you can steal people's copyright, you can do all kinds of things that you're not allowed to do at thestranger.com. So any individual who has Instagram or Twitter or any kind of social media has much more power legally than an actual news organization, than the New York Times or The Stranger. So, of course, social media ends up winning the attention thing because you can watch people steal copyright or libel, but you can watch car accidents all day long. And who doesn't love to watch a car accident? It's much more interesting than watching someone drive really well.
80% of my feed.
Yeah. So I think there is a structural imbalance that is always going to mean, unless they repeal Section 230, that social media is going to be inherently more interesting than traditional media.
Yeah, right. Well, we talk about here on the Omnibus how social media is a garbage fire, and we really encourage people to get away from it as fast as they can. And then we immediately give them all of our social media accounts. So
I do the same thing. I do it to tell people about my classes and such. And I should get off of it, but
I would eat either Thai food or Vietnamese food if I could only pick one.
Yeah.
And the reason is that it enforces a kind of vegetable consumption.
Yes.
That Italian food does not.
Yeah, or French food. Yes.
And French food and Mexican food don't. There is something that's, in Thai food and Vietnamese food, even if you try not to eat vegetables, they're going to get there.
That's such a good point.
Yeah. And so I also love those foods.
Yes.
And so I've thought about this quite a bit, and I feel like I would pick Vietnamese food.
Okay.
Which,
all right.
if you had told my 18-year-old self that I would ever say those words, I would not be alive today, because he would have thrown himself off a bridge. But I really do think it's, here in Seattle at least,
yeah,
it's among the best foods ever.
I think you've talked me into this. I think I'll take Thai food. And in light of this idea about vegetables,
there you
the
go.
importance of vegetables,
yeah,
I'm going to do Thai food. So there's a creature in Puget Sound who only eats one kind of food. Do you know this?
Dum.
Dum.
Is it the octopus?
Oh, I wish it was an octopus or a shark.
Is it a scallop?
Ooh, I wonder what a scallop eats. Does a scallop have a face? Is that the whole being that I'm looking at when I eat a scallop, or was there a shell on it?
There was a shell. It's a scallop shell. That's why we talk about scallop shell.
It's scalloped?
It's a scallop.
It's a scallop shell?
That's where we get it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. No, a scallop I don't think has a face. It's a bottom feeder. It sucks dirty water in and it spits cleaner water out, I guess. And then poops.
It's a bottom feeder. I'm just trying to keep that in my head. So it's like down in the rocks under lots of water.
Yeah.
Right.
They all sit down there, and then everything that dies up above falls to the bottom. And there's a whole ecosystem of things that are just eating other people's poop and deadness.
It's like that kind of fish you could buy when you had a fish tank that would eat the algae.
Yeah.
Right. Keep the little castle clean.
God, I loved watching those fish eat the algae with their little like video game mouths.
They never quite were hungry enough, though. There was always still some algae.
Yeah.
Like, eat more of the algae.
Fucking slackers.
So, no, it's not a scallop and it's not an octopus. I think you know what it is.
I think I know where you're going. Are you talking about the salmon-eating orca of Puget Sound?
Yes. You know, they eat, they're called southern residents. They eat, 80% of their diet is specifically Chinook salmon. They're very picky.
How many kinds of salmon are there?
There's also sockeye, and there's also, I don't know, there's other kinds.
There's
so it's
reds, there's kings.
But apparently the Chinook are the fattiest and the yummiest.
Hey, baby.
And these orcas, that's pretty much all they want, is those kind. There's also 10% of their diet will be other kinds of salmon that are not as desirable to them. And then 10% like squid or random things that they happen to eat. But the bulk of their diet, 90% of their diet, is salmon.
This is something I've wondered for a long time. When salmon are out salmoning in Puget Sound, they're sticking together with their own kind of salmon. It's not like Chinooks and reds and all these different kinds of salmons that are just like they're all intermingled like on a bus. So if an orca is looking for Chinook salmon, it goes where it finds them and presumably is like going by other kinds of salmon and not even looking at them.
I'm not sure, but I think one thing you have to keep in mind is these orca can echolocate, and they find their salmon who are in schools, I'm assuming, by echolocation, and they can tell, how big an object is and how heavy it is and how fatty it is from afar. It's really amazing to imagine being able to echolocate. But anyway, they find their food through echolocation. Unlike other orcas, other killer whales, who also swim in Puget Sound, who don't eat salmon at all.
And do not echolocate? Or
they don't, because they want to eat like a seal, or actually what they want to eat is a seal's liver. They want to eat just the fatty parts of a seal or a shark. Sometimes if they're really hungry, they can bat a bird out of the sky. They'll eat a mammal. Like there's those kind of killer whales will eat anything. They're called Bigg's killer whales. They were discovered by the guy who first realized you can chart and track killer whales based on their dorsal fin, the shape on it, like both the modeling of white and black on it, and also the little notches carved out of it. They're each unique. They're like a fingerprint. And in, I think, the 70s, the 60s or the 70s, he started taking photographs and tracking northern resident killer whales, the ones up in Vancouver Island. And they also eat salmon up there. So those are the northern residents, and the southern residents are the ones in Puget Sound here who only eat salmon. But they're distinct from transients or Bigg's killer whales, which is, he realized the distinction, which are identical. They look exactly like the endangered ones that only eat salmon, but they will eat anything.
They look the same?
They look exactly the same. But some scientists think they should be categorized as different species because they're so different. Not only in how much they travel, but also in how they eat and how they hunt. And echolocation is one example. So when you're hunting a seal to eat, the seal can tell that it's being echolocated. It can feel the pulse of the sonar, whatever you would call it.
Right.
But the schools of salmon don't. I guess salmon are stupid, or maybe their brains aren't as big.
Dumber than a seal. Not to rank animals, but
so the southern residents who do like to only eat salmon, they can echolocate their food. The transients they don't echolocate because they don't want their prey to know that they're coming.
And we call them bigs, and that's named after a guy in the 70s? I always assumed it was named after some whale scientist from 1885.
No, whale science is much more recent than that.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, in the 60s and 70s, people still thought that, first of all killer whales were killers and that they would eat any human being alive. Right. Not really the case. There's very few interactions of killer whales getting mad at humans, although increasingly they exist. But yeah, the other ones, they wouldn't eat a seal if it wanted to be eaten. I mean, they will only eat salmon, which is part of the reason they're endangered, part of the reason they're dying.
Can you think of another animal that has that incredible difference in diet, method, like two of the same, I mean, other than humans, I guess.
Humans is a good answer.
But, humans kind of invent differences. You wouldn't say like, well, these people over here just cannot write or paint, right? But that's kind of what it's like with these whales, right? Is there any other species you can think of that has that much, such extraordinary deviation from one another?
Well, my boyfriends, one would only eat McDonald's and the other one eats Pichet. No,
Lol.
I can't think of, I don't know enough about biology, actually. I haven't studied enough different animals, but no, I can't think of one.
I mean, birds, they specialize, and obviously there are carnivores and vegetarians, but I don't know. That's so fascinating.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And the transients, they're not my favorite. They're the beasts, the killers, the real... They will, they'll kill a shark by just grabbing it in their jaws and then turning it upside down right under the surface of the water because the shark drowns if it doesn't move. So they'll just drown it by not doing anything.
What?
Yeah.
They don't kill it violently? They kill it like psychotically?
Yes, with coldness and precision. They know exactly what they're doing. Yes. And then they'll just eat the liver and then leave the rest of the carcass for other animals.
Well, for the bottom feeders.
Yeah, exactly. For the scallops.
Yeah, the scallops are down there like,
yeah, we got a whole shark.
I've talked a lot recently about how I feel like I'm losing my hair, and it's gotten to the point where I'm kind of cutting my hair slightly differently now to not exactly to mask it, but to be prepared for a time when, I don't want to get to a place where I've lost my hair and then suddenly I change my haircut. So I'm changing my haircut in advance, thinking into the future, like this will be a better haircut for a guy with less hair. That's really not the way I want to go. But all the hair loss treatments are so, I don't know, confusing. Like there's this kind of medicine, there's that, there's chews, there's stuff you put on your hair, there's stuff you shoot out of a gun. Ken obviously went through some hair loss treatment, and it was very effective. He's grown his hair back, thick and lustrous. But I've been introduced to a company called Hims. I think I've talked about them before. Hims kind of cuts through the confusion of all the different sorts of hair loss treatments. And they give you like convenient access to the whole range of different prescription hair loss options. And these are ones with proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil and other very familiar household names. And they do offer chews and pills and serums and sprays. But you don't have to go out of your way scrambling around trying to figure out what they are. Hims brings the expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. There's no hidden fees. There's no surprise costs. It's all on your schedule. I mean, this is exactly what I've been looking for, to cut through all of the static, all of the hissing sound, and get me the treatment that is going to work best for me. So here is what we should both do for simple online access to personalized and affordable care, not just for hair loss, but for erectile dysfunction, for weight loss, and more. Visit Hims, that's That's HIMS.com/omnibus. Go to hims.com/omnibus for your free online visit. That's hims.com/omnibus. Individual results may vary. This is based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. A prescription is required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information.
But anyway, the Southern residents, I call them the food critics of the sea because they're so picky. They only eat one thing, which is why they're dying off, because salmon is increasingly hard to come by.
I don't notice that when you go to a restaurant, you don't see Chinook salmon on the menu as like, oh my God, we just got in the best Chinook. Have we eaten all the Chinook, or is the Chinook like good? Are they good eaten?
That's such a good question. I can't remember. Yeah, you think of king salmon, right? Like that's the name.
Copper River salmon, but I'm not sure that's not a kind of salmon. That's
I'm
just
not
a
sure
place.
if those are Chinook or not. I don't know.
I doubt. If Copper River salmon were Chinook, I bet I would know. But it's possible that I wouldn't. Let me just...
Well, Copper River, that's got to be the name of the river they're from, right?
It is. It's in Alaska. They're sockeye salmon.
Sockeye, right.
That's sockeye salmon.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Not the preferred salmon.
So why are
the Southern residents.
The Southern residents, why are they endangered?
Well, interesting story. In the 60s, swimming with an orca in a swimming pool and training it to do tricks, like the SeaWorld show,
Right.
was invented by a guy on the Seattle waterfront in 1965.
What? Really?
Yes. His name was Ted Griffin. He ran, it wasn't called Seattle Aquarium, but it was maybe Seattle Marine Aquarium, something like that. No relation to the current Seattle Aquarium.
Which is a science organization.
And he had this dream of swimming with an orca ever since he was a kid. And he had this aquarium. And then up in off Vancouver Island, in a town called Namu, a little fishing village, an orca got stuck in some salmon nets. And they didn't know what to do about this orca that was caught. But someone knew Ted Griffin then had this dream of always swimming with an orca. So somehow the fisherman who caught that orca sold it to Ted Griffin, who journeyed up to Vancouver Island and then sailed with it down through Deception Pass to Seattle to put it in a swimming pool on the Seattle waterfront and train it to do tricks.
The orca was in a net and he tied it to his sailboat?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how he did it, but it was covered in, I think, a lavish spread in National Geographic in 1965. And it was apparently a huge to-do with people getting out of their cars on Deception Pass to watch it go through the channel. And I think other orcas orcas are very social beings, especially this eco-type. It was a northern resident, also a salmon eater. And so it's friends. It's, I don't know, its calves or its wife, or I don't know exactly what the
Posse.
family, followed it sort of outside of its enclosure as it was being, screaming and crying. That orca was named Namu after the town where it was discovered.
That
in the
was
nets.
Namu.
That was Namu. And there was a big movie called Namu the Killer Whale that year. And there was tons of media coverage all over the world. And Namu only lasted about 9 months on the waterfront before dying. But
Dying of sadness? Or because they didn't know what to do with a whale?
I think with the early captures, one issue was they didn't know they only wanted to eat salmon. Sometimes they would put like raw beef out there and couldn't understand why I wouldn't eat it. But within a couple months of getting to the waterfront, its capturer, Ted Griffin, who was also the first person to ever swim in a pool with an orca, decided he needed a girlfriend. He needed
Ted didn't need a girlfriend, although he might have, but he meant the whale needed one.
The whale needed a girlfriend. So he went out hunting again. He had a hunting partner named Don Goldsberry who lived in Tacoma, was a fisherman. And they actually got in a helicopter. They're tooling around in a helicopter near the Tacoma Narrows Bridge with a harpoon gun. Just imagine they're standing in a helicopter, maybe they're seated, holding a harpoon gun, pointing it at the whales that are swimming in the water down below. And they see a large orca, killer whale, Not actually a whale, but the government calls it a killer whale, and SeaWorld calls it a killer whale.
What do they say in Moby Dick?
Oh, I don't remember.
In the 10-page, this is a whale, but it's also a
Cetology?
fish.
Yeah.
What do killer whales come up?
I'm sure they do. I can't remember what he writes. I'd have to look at it again.
They're all fish, in his estimation.
So killer whales are not actually whales; they're dolphins. They're the largest kind of dolphin.
Oh, right.
But the government, and so any scientists who want to study them, all of the applications and paperwork, they all say killer whale. Activists, artists, hippies tend to say orca. So they're in, this is 1966 now, they're in a helicopter near the Tacoma Narrows Bridge holding harpoon guns like crazy people out of Moby Dick, except in a gun. And they shoot a harpoon at this large orca in the water.
Why?
Because they want to capture it and bring it back to Seattle to be Namu's girlfriend. Actually, the orca they shoot is the adult, but next to it is her calf. And so what they really want is the calf. So they shoot the adult orca, which has a giant metal rod shoved through its body, and it thrashes around for a couple days in agony, and then it decides to drown itself by going under, submerging its own blowhole, and commit suicide in front of its calf.
You're kidding.
And then the guys in the helicopter scoop up the calf in a net, and they carry it to Seattle, and they name it Shamu.
Good
to be
Lord.
the girlfriend of Namu.
This is awful.
Awful. Namu and Shamu don't really get along. Not really a meet cute.
Okay.
And Ted Griffin decides, I'm just going to sell this little thing to SeaWorld in San Diego. And that's the first Shamu. Shamu dies pretty quickly, but every orca after that at SeaWorld was always also called Shamu. So the name became a brand.
What was SeaWorld before Shamu? Was it just like some seals balancing balls on their noses?
I'm not sure, but I think SeaWorld only started in like 1964 maybe. So Namu's 65. So once Namu had a movie and was in National Geographic and was getting coverage all over the world, then every SeaWorld wanted an orca.
And like so many things in our era, like architecture, like urban planning, there are people in the mid-century who were trying to do things in those spaces that seem to have no sense of like preservation or no respect for the thing that they were ostensibly like architectural people that were like, let's tear down everything and build just a big concrete slab, or, like naturalists, or in scare quotes, people that were bulldozing rather than preserving. And so were these people animal lovers? Did they, if you have a dream that you're going to swim with an orca, you have to imagine that you think of them as magical.
Yeah.
And yet you're out like harpooning their, like a baby's mom to capture it and then just like, sell it for $50. Like, what?
Yeah.
Have you gotten into their heads at all?
Oh, man. No, I mean, it's interesting because, on the one hand, this is the cruelest thing you could do to orcas. On the other hand, this is what popularized orcas. This is how anybody, as a kid, I loved SeaWorld, and my favorite thing about SeaWorld was the orcas. This is long before I understood how it all started.
Right.
So it's that kind of, the thing the zoos ask, is it worth putting these animals in cages just to teach people about the animals if we're taking them out of their environments? Like, you could argue each side of it.
Yeah.
But there was a sense, I think, back then that all killer whales all over the world were the same because they're all identical. What they didn't realize is that, in the 60s and the 70s when they were, filling up these swimming pools at the SeaWorlds and the Seaquariums and the all kinds of places all over the world, they were all coming out of Puget Sound. And they were, almost all of them, these special, only eat salmon, endangered kind. So they thought they were taking from a stock of infinite killer whales, but actually they were decimating one particular ecotype, which is a huge reason why they're now endangered.
And there are killer whales all over the world?
All over the world.
Really?
Yeah.
And so in Puget Sound, we have southern residents, northern residents, transients, bigs.
Transients and bigs are the same thing.
Transients and bigs. Like, are other regions of the world do they also have all these different kinds of whales?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
I mean, we here in Seattle have the only endangered orcas in the United States. I mean, I'm sure there's other orcas that come to different parts of the country, but we're the only endangered ones because I think there's 74 of them left.
Wow. Bummer.
Bummer.
Is that up from a historic low that was before? Or, I mean, are we on the upswing? Does it feel hopeful?
We're not on the upswing.
Oh.
We're on the downswing.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. Yeah. The day I think we should capture for eternity here, this event that we're going to add to the annals of the Omnibus Archives, happened in 1970, August 8th, 1970, when there was at least 200 of these kind of orcas in the ocean, probably more, but there were sightings of them earlier that summer off San Juan Island. I don't know if you've been to San Juan Island.
Just recently.
Did you go to Lime Kiln Lighthouse?
I flew over it in a biplane.
Nice. Nice. Well, that's the best place to see
It's awesome.
orcas. The Center for Whale Research is headquartered there. They're the ones who now go out in the boats and take pictures of all the dorsal fins and track all of the southern residents. So more than 200 were seen off the coast of San Juan Island that summer. And in August, that date, August 8th, Ted and his friend Don Goldsberry and their helicopter, they had aircraft, they had speedboats, they had like M80s. I think they had dynamite. They had all kinds of devices to spy on and watch and follow and track and then scare orcas into going in a particular direction. What they really wanted to do always was trap the orcas, like get them to swim into one of the little nooks and crannies in Puget Sound and then draw a net over the openings so that they would trap them. And then they would steal the calves because the calves were younger, they were more valuable, they were going to live longer, and they were also easier to train than the adults. So on this particular date, August 8th, 1970, they saw a bunch of orcas, probably 200 of them, in Admiralty Inlet, where it's a kind of, I don't know, how would you say, a gate in the middle of Puget Sound where it goes out to the Salish Sea or it comes in toward the city. And they started throwing their bombs in the water, and they had their speedboats, and they had aircraft spotters, and the orcas split into two groups. And basically the males went in one direction and the children and the females went in a different direction. And they decided to follow the children and the females because those were more valuable. And they kind of chased them around Whidbey Island up into Penn Cove. And once they were in Penn Cove, they drew a net.
Across Penn Cove?
Yes, and trapped like some 80 orcas were in this trap in Penn Cove. It was only supposed to take a day or two, but it took 2 weeks, and it was apparently awful. Just like imagine 80 orcas trapped, screaming, thrashing. They were trying to run nets between the orcas to divide them, and the orcas were trying to get through the nets or around the nets. One of the orcas, it was reported on the news, died in the nets. But it turns out many more than that had died, and the hunters were able to conceal the deaths. So there was one reported death, but some like 3 or 4 other calves also died. And then the hunters would slice open their bodies and fill them with rocks and metal and attach them to anchors to try to sink them so that they wouldn't be entered into the news coverage. But then those bodies started washing ashore full of rocks and metal, and one of them was still attached to the anchor. So their cover was blown. But anyway.
You know, Penn Cove is not very wide or deep, and it's right there by the town, by Port Orchard.
Yeah, Coopville.
Yeah, or Coopville. And it doesn't seem like you could be doing this without people standing around watching.
Yeah, you sure couldn't. And there were a lot of people watching. There's some horrible, horrible eyewitness accounts of this 2-week-long mayhem of orcas in Penn Cove, which I guess Penn Cove is known for mussels. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a big shellfish, a lot of bottom feeders up there. It's a big shellfish farm. Penn Cove mussels are one of those things where up there, it's kind of like lobster in Maine. Up there, you can get them for a plate of them for 50 cents, or you can go to the restaurant down in Coopville and get them for $50, or you can come down to Seattle and get them for $500. It's not quite like that, but
I'm not a big mussels guy, but Coopville's cute.
it's cute.
Yeah.
It's
1852 is when Coopville started.
It's precious.
That's like Moby Dick era.
It is.
That's like the year after Moby Dick was written.
It's like Seattle was just a bunch of tarps thrown over a log in 1852.
Yeah, so imagine what Coopville was. It was just that road. Yeah, there's a bending road along that you can see the water. And there's photos. You can go look up photos of traffic at a standstill, completely parking lot traffic, everybody out of their cars to watch what the heck is going on with all these orcas. Imagine 80 orcas in one tiny little place in Penn Cove. Yeah, you could definitely see it from Coopville and from the highway. Insane. And lots of people who were part of the capture had big regrets about being involved in it later.
And weirdly, like, it's, I think, hard for people now to realize how few regulatory agencies there were then, because all these acts that we passed, that Congress passed after the fact,
Yep.
the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, those things are all products of my lifetime.
Yeah.
They didn't exist when I was born. And so I guess if you were just a wackadoodle from the Seattle waterfront, you could just hire a helicopter and corral all the orca and murder them.
Yeah.
And the state government and the King County sheriffs were like, oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah, the law didn't change until 1976 when Washington State sued the guys claiming animal cruelty, and the courts agreed and it was outlawed. You couldn't hunt them anymore as of 1976.
76.
But back in 1970 when this happened, yeah, it was honestly traumatic for the people who were just driving along and watched it. I interviewed one of the witnesses who told me it was the weirdest sound I've ever heard in my life. Like babies crying, but much louder. And someone else who witnessed it said, it's one of the most horrible things I've ever witnessed in my life. Wow. Yeah, you just think of little calves being torn away from their parents. Southern residents in particular are so social that they sleep making physical contact with each other. The kids, the babies, always stay with mom the whole life. It's a matrilineal society, so women run everything. Women lead the hunt. The boys stick with mom their whole life. If mom dies, a boy dies right away because he can't handle it on his own, even if he's a grown adult.
I can confirm that's true in other species too.
So anyway, just incredible closeness. They each have each kind of pod has its own dialect. So presumably so the animals know who to breed with. For example, the transients, the bigs, never interact with the southern residents. They steer wide of each other. They're not at all interested in each other.
What if a body meets a body coming through the rye? Like, what if they're both going through Deception Pass or something? They got to go by each other.
I think they just pretend like they don't exist.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how that works. But anyway, just so cruel. I mean, closer bonds than human bonds, and just imagine ripping human families apart.
Yeah.
And then they would take these whales. So in Penn Cove, they killed a number of them accidentally. And then they took all the calves, basically. I think they took 7 calves. The southern residents, there's 3 pods of them, the J pod, the K pod, and the L pod. All 3 pods were represented there in the Penn Cove capture. And they lifted 7 calves out of the water and sold them off to places, all over the world. One of them died 7 months later in Texas. Another went to France and died in 1973. 2 went to Japan and died in 1974. 1 went to England and swam with Prince Charles, I happen to know, before being transferred to San Diego and dying in 1986. And by 1987, all of the ones they had captured there in Penn Cove had died, except 1, the one that they sent to Miami. I happened to write a piece of journalism once about this particular whale, so I can tell you anything you want to know about her as well. But
what was her name?
Well, her name was, okay, so interestingly, when they captured her, Miami Seaquarium had sent someone out to sort of see the inventory of what they could get. And
Like picking a kitten.
I guess he was a veterinarian and he flew to Seattle. His name was Dr. Jesse White. And she was a 4-year-old calf, 14 feet long, female. And he thought that she was so courageous and gentle that he named her Tokate, which is a Coast Salish word, a greeting that means nice day, pretty colors. But as soon as she got to Miami, the PR people in Miami had a different idea. There was another actual orca that they had taken from Puget Sound already in Miami named Hugo. And the idea was that Hugo needed a girlfriend. Again, with this, like, he needs a girlfriend.
Right.
And so this girl would be Tokate would be his girlfriend. They put them in 2 different pools, but nearby. And Tokate was always screaming for him because he was also a Southern resident. So they probably had a similar dialect, or maybe they knew each other. The Seaquarium didn't know that as a female, she had the upper hand. She was actually the dominant animal of the 2. But anyway, when she got there, she was screaming bloody murder and probably trying to talk to him. And so one of the women in the PR team called her Screaming Lolita, and they ended up just naming her Lolita, disgustingly.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like name that means
Creepy.
we're going to screw you. Like, it's just the worst name. So disgusting. Yeah, I assumed that a guy had named her that, but not the case. So she became Lolita and was known as Lolita for the rest of her life.
Listen, it's the holidays, and for those of you with teenagers, you might be considering getting your teenager their first phone, or even a preteen, or you might be getting a new phone for yourself. It's a great time of year to buy phones as a gift, but you don't have to let big wireless corporations force an overpriced phone bill into your phone bill slot and suck the joy out of the holidays this year, because right now, all of Mint Mobile's unlimited plans are 50% off. What a holiday bit of cheer. If you get a new phone for your teen, or even if you're just tired of paying overpriced phone bills and are ready to get 50% off, you can get 3, 6, or 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. It's the best deal of the year. It makes it really easy for you to give expensive wireless the Scrooge treatment. So with a 3, 6, or 12-month unlimited plan for $15 a month, all Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text. They have the nation's largest 5G network. You can bring your current phone and bring your current phone number over to Mint. There are no contracts and no nonsense. So this is when I finally get my daughter a smartphone, it's going to come with Mint Mobile. Here's what you do. You go to mintmobile.com/omnibus. That's mintmobile.com/omnibus to turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/omnibus. This is a limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. That's all $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees are extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 35 gigabytes may slow when the network is busy. Capable devices are required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com for details. At a time in our culture when you could name things Lolita and everybody would say, hey, let's take the kids to see Lolita. I don't think you would get away with that now.
Oh my God, that's so sad how they treated Lolita. And Hugo, by the way. Oh my gosh, Hugo, that's a whole other side story. I'll keep it brief.
Did they ever let Lolita and Hugo share the same tank?
Yes, they did. And it went real south for Hugo.
Oh.
I think they expected Hugo to be the man and be the dominant force, but Hugo circled the drain. Hugo started swimming rapidly in his tank over and over and over. He started swimming into the glass, like clearly either trying to escape or trying to bang his own head so hard that he died. And eventually he swam into the glass so many times the glass broke. He almost drowned himself because if he, the blowhole. But they mended the glass, and then he did it again, and he was able to kill himself. So he just swam, knocked his head into the glass over and over and over until he died.
Wow.
That's what happened to Hugo. Yeah. But it was the 70s. They had done all this stupid stuff. Like they hired an astrologer to come figure out if Hugo and Lolita were going to be a good match.
Well, at least they were using science.
There's details of this astrologer who kind of went down by the
down by the river.
Down by the river. Yeah, at night when the park was closed, you could hear the orcas communicating with each other, one of the trainers said. There's a guy at the Orca Network, Howard Garrett, who was a big advocate for releasing Lolita for many years. And he said that he thought that they gave Tokate the name Lolita to create this myth of her being the underage girlfriend of Hugo.
Oh.
They had a wedding. They tried to get them married. June 2nd, 1971, the Marine Park staged a wedding for them. A headline in the Miami News read, "Big splash to mark mammoth wedding." So it was a lot of hoopla. It was all obviously to sell tickets to Miami's Aquarium.
Kids eat this stuff up.
Yeah,
but
I loved seeing the orcas at SeaWorld as a kid. I loved it. I would have said SeaWorld was my favorite place over Disneyland as a kid.
And you grew up in?
Southern California, Agora Hills.
So how many times a year did you go to SeaWorld?
Oh, not that much. I probably went 5 times in my childhood, but better
than Disneyland.
I thought it was better than Disneyland. The rest of my family were more Disneyland people, but I just thought those orca shows were amazing.
I don't think I ever saw an orca in an aquarium. I think I just missed it. I've been to aquariums, but I think it was all seals and dolphins and I don't know what.
You've never seen a Shamu?
Turtles.
Huh.
Like the Seattle Aquarium's got every kind of thing.
Right.
There's so many otters are out there playing around. Like it's a fun place.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever saw a big killer whale in one.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you can anymore. I think the laws have since changed.
Just recently, right? I mean, they were still, it was still a controversy until really recently.
Yeah. Well, back when there were 200 of them, they didn't realize. So every orca around the world came out of Puget Sound in the 60s and 70s, except for one single animal. So if you did see an orca at a SeaWorld anywhere in the world, it almost surely came out of Puget Sound.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen them in Alaska. I've seen a pod of, I guess, bigs actually hunting beluga whales.
Nice.
And there's a place on the Seward Highway called Beluga Point where the beluga whales come in massive herds.
Yeah.
Just like hundreds of them. And they're huge animals.
Right.
And they all kind of go up, Turnagain Arm, and then when the tide goes out, they all turn around and come back. But one day we were driving and the sea was just boiling. All these whales right up against the shore, a rocky kind of cliffy coastline.
Yeah.
And so much that we pulled over and jumped out of the car and we're like, what is happening? Like just whales. So many of them in this massive, like a buffalo herd.
Wow.
And we were looking at them like, what's going on? I've been up and down this road every day of my life. I've never seen this.
Yeah.
And then we looked out and there were the massive whales, like the big the killer whales. I mean, massive fins. What are they called? Flukes.
Right. Yeah.
And you could just see them, the way that when killer whales are kind of going through the sea, the flukes kind of come up and then the next one comes up. Like you could see that there was a big pod and they were herding them like cowboys.
Wow.
They had pushed them against the shore.
Right.
And then they were managing what the belugas could do. And I think they were just waiting to pick off the little ones or the slow ones or the hurt ones.
Wow.
Oh, I never actually saw them like come in and kill anything because, I had to go. I had a pot dealer to meet. But it was incredible just to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the flukes are the tails, probably the dorsal fin. But
Dorsal fin, that's what I was.
yeah, I've watched on YouTube. I've seen killer whales, big killer transients fighting narwhals, which is pretty fun because the narwhals have those big unicorn tusks. Yeah. And I've also seen the shark thing where they'll kill a great white shark by holding it upside down.
Those
like
are
1 inch under the water. Unbelievable.
I have car crash videos. I have like hoof trimming videos, and then killer whales killing sharks in Australia.
So fun.
That is really good.
Yeah.
But so who was the one whale that was not from Puget Sound?
I actually don't remember that detail.
Oh, but there was one.
I have it in my notes that it was all but one were all taken out of Puget Sound.
One of them was just some dummy from Iceland that
or Japan
got caught in a net.
Yeah, totally. But I did see I saw transients some 45 years after the Penn Cove. So one of the things about the southern residents is that they had never been seen again in Penn Cove. This idea of like a kind of haunted area for them. But I did go back in 2015 in August on the 45th anniversary of the Penn Cove capture and saw a bunch of transients in Penn Cove. There was an Orca network event and some Coast Salish people were doing an offering to Lolita and also to Lolita's relatives and podmates, including Granny, who was a very, very old, over 100 years old Orca, still alive at the time. Anyway, while we were there, some transients happened to be in Penn Cove, and it was magical. Oh my God, it was magical. Just like the whole thing of, like it was like a show from SeaWorld, like where the Orca kind of comes out of the water and it's this beautiful crescent, except in Penn Cove, its baby was also coming out too. And they were kind of, doing a kind of arc. What would you call that?
Yeah.
Just putting on this gorgeous show. I mean, they were just incredible.
Playing around.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like, I don't know, it looked like an AI version of the ideal splashing around orcas.
Like a television production company logo.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous how perfect it looked.
Well, so all summer long here, all year long, but all summer for sure, everybody's posting pictures of all the pods of residents. Do the transient pods get the same kind of publicity? Are people as excited about them? Do they behave the same way? Like so playful? Like they're almost playful like dogs.
Yeah. I think they do enjoy the same popularity and attention, and people don't usually know the difference. I wouldn't know the difference if I just saw orcas splashing around because they look the same. But they're not the ones they're not the underdogs. There's plenty of transients all over the world, and those guys are monsters. They'll eat anything. But there was this kind of offering in August of 2015. A giant group of people all gathered to kind of try to help the orcas through an ancient ritual that these Coast Salish people effectuated there in Penn Cove. And I'll never forget, I was there and I thought, am I being disrespectful because I'm wearing a hat? And most people here aren't wearing hats. So I was like at the back, but I wanted to watch, and I was writing about it for The Stranger. And I remember these Coast Salish people, they had gotten these hunks of salmon and some evergreen leaves and some ferns. And they scanned the crowd looking for someone to do the offering. And then the lady said, "You in the hat." And I couldn't believe she had chosen me, this like white guy who I don't have any relationship with Coast Salish peoples.
Did she want you to wade in? Is that what she was like, swim out with this? Maybe that's why they picked
Die
you?
in front of us. Sacrifice yourself. She actually chose another guy as well. And he was also a white guy. And they had us, they had these trash bags full of these offerings. And she made a joke like, long ago it would have been woven bags, but we do the best we can. And I remember we put all of the offerings in the water, and they said a prayer, and they said it was for the orca. Orca have this special significance in Coast Salish tradition. They're considered to be human or formerly human or going to be human. There's stories of tribes on land, and the chief of the tribe gives his daughter to marry an orca, and she walks into its mouth. There's stories of people becoming orcas and then becoming humans as they come back. So
they're in a lot of Coast Salish art, and on the totem poles, they're always like a prominent position.
Yeah.
And they didn't hunt them, the local, like
I think
Indian
they didn't.
tribes?
I think they were considered sacred, is my understanding. I mean, they would hunt other kinds of whales.
Sure,
but
everything else.
Yeah. But I think the orcas were considered sacred.
Huh.
I'm not sure. Anyway.
Well, how lucky that you had that experience.
It was amazing. And there were so many interesting people there. I remember there was a guy who had been a trainer at SeaWorld who'd never seen orcas in the wild, who was there, and he saw them in the wild for the first time with all of us.
Wow, can you imagine?
He had only ever been in swimming pools with them. And he had totally been a company man for SeaWorld and totally believed their way of looking at things, and had changed his mind and thought it was all about greed, and written a book about it. And kids were running up to him and asking him, like, what's it like to swim with an orca? Or what does their skin feel like? One little boy was like, what do orcas feel like? And this guy said, like a cross between a wet Oscar Mayer wiener and a wet inner tube. Yeah. And the boy smiled and ran off. And yeah, I remember talking to him a lot because he had swum with so many whales. He didn't know Lolita, but he'd had a lot of experience, and he's just like, it's the height of cruelty what we're doing to these animals in these parks.
Can you imagine, like, because of all the people on Earth, he probably has the most, like, actual one-on-one, what he would describe probably as very personal relationships with the whales.
Yep.
And yet, in a way that is completely alien and not what he would want. Not what he would wish on a whale, and probably not what he would want for anybody else either.
Yeah.
And yet, this incredible experience of being like a whale's friend, or at least a whale's companion.
Yeah. What he was struck with, what he wanted to talk about, he wrote about it a lot in that book too, which was called Beneath the Surface. His name was John Hargrove. He wrote about how they just, in parks, they live lives of quiet desperation and intense boredom.
Like the English.
Yeah. Like the English. Yes. Yeah. Quiet desperation and intense boredom.
Yeah.
I asked him what he meant, and he said, killer whales longing for stimulation have learned to regurgitate food just to keep themselves busy. Almost all the whales in SeaWorld obsessively grind their teeth, he says, against the ledges, floors, and stages of their parks. And some peel the paint off the pool's inner walls with their teeth, trying to occupy themselves.
Sounds exactly like me. I do all three of those things. Well, so tell me about, how much do you know, if anything, about these whales off of Portugal that keep sinking boats?
Oh, Portugal. I don't know, but there has been an increase all over the world of, it used to be there was never any recorded interaction of any kind of killer whale messing with humans. And now that's changed.
Killer whales are messing with humans.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting really mad at boats. I think NOAA for years has been studying what is the biggest stress on the endangered killer whales. And obviously lack of salmon is one idea, but also just the noise that a boat makes is apparently so loud that orcas, like, for 400 meters around any boat, they can't hunt, they can't live in peace. So I'm not sure what the results of all of NOAA's studying have been, if NOAA even exists anymore now that everything's being cut. But
right, it's part of the Department of Homeland Security now. All the orcas now have torpedoes strapped to their backs. Yeah, that's right. Being trained by the U.S. Navy, which also isn't getting funded. So
they did try to do that long ago. Try to incorporate killer whales into the U.S. Navy or something. I don't remember what that story was.
Yeah, I bet they did it with dolphins for a long time, until Steve Zissou realized that dolphins were dumb.
Dolphins aren't dumb.
No, they're not. Steve Zissou's dumb.
They have bigger brains than we do.
Well, and so, yeah, I think that they're like colliding with sailboats and boats in in that area, kind of right around Gibraltar, and sending them to the bottom. So far, none of them in our region have figured that game out. Let's hope.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, let's hope that they're not communicating it like through a game of telephone with the European Orca who are like, hey, tell our American friends this new game.
I mean, I suppose the transients would eat a human. I mean, they'll eat anything.
Well, but none of them ever have, right?
I don't believe so.
Did you ever see the 1977 movie Orca?
No.
So after the success of Jaws, they Hollywood was like, what's next? Giraffe? No. They're not dangerous. A little dangerous. But they made a movie called Orca that was like a Jaws ripoff, where basically there's this massive killer whale that's trying to kill people and is a danger to a community, a seafaring community. I think maybe even not Cheryl Tiegs. Who was it? It was like Bo Derek or something like that. Like there was some blonde superstar. David Carradine maybe was in it. But it was it grossly misrepresented the character and personality of the orca.
Yeah, at the time when they were hunting them down and throwing bombs in the water and scaring them and killing them accidentally, people thought they were just vicious beasts. So it is thanks to putting them in parks and people getting to see their nature and how calm they are that we've even come to care about them or think about them differently. But
they have friendly faces.
They're definitely charismatic megafauna. They've also been around for millions of years. I mean, who knows? Just imagine being able to echolocate. Like, their brains can do things we can't even imagine. Like, what would that look like inside? Like, do they have a radar screen in the middle of their view that allows, like, how do they receive that data? I mean, their brains are so much bigger. They've been apex predators so much longer than humans have been around. It would be fascinating to see the world through an orca's eyes.
Did you, a couple of years ago now, and I've talked about it on this show too, the whole business of realizing that some people don't have an inner voice?
Oh,
Do you remember that?
This.
Where it was, 2019, I think, was when it kind of went around the internet. And I remember hearing this and then reading these accounts where people were like, what are you talking about? It all came about because someone said to a group of friends, wouldn't it be cool if you had that thing that you see in movies where there's like a voiceover where a voice is talking and kind of explaining things as it happens? And one of their friends was like, you mean your inner voice that's doing that all the time?
Right.
And they were like, what do you mean?
Wow.
And they went on Twitter, which was still Twitter, and said, what is this all about? And it just turned into a storm.
I remember that.
And so I went around my friends who you would assume were all inner voice people.
Right.
But it turned out a lot of the musicians, two people in my band were like, I don't have an inner voice. What are you talking about? And when you talk to somebody that does, of course, they're like, what do you mean?
Right.
Duh.
I don't understand how you can have an inner life if you don't have that inner voice.
And I all these people that I know really well, that I think of as very smart and very like me, were like, no, I have no inner voice. If I want to say something to myself, I look in the mirror and I say it out loud.
Whoa.
But when in that conversation, over the course of the next few years, I realized I don't have a visual mind at all. If I close my eyes, I do not picture anything.
Really?
If you tell me to picture an apple or picture the White House, I close my eyes and I just see static. I can describe the White House.
Well, I see static too, but I can see it in my imagination.
I can't see it as a visual thing. I know what the White House looks like. It's kind of talking to these people with no inner voice.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how do you think?
Right.
Right. And they're like,
or read is my question.
Yeah.
Do they ever read?
We think we read, but there's not this conversation. There's not a voice that you could
God, it must be nice.
Reply to. I know, right? What a gift.
I think I would like movies a lot more if I didn't have an inner voice.
I know. What an incredible gift to not have a voice that's like, doing it wrong again.
Totally.
Are you kidding me right now?
Or whenever I'm watching a movie, I'm always thinking, why aren't you doing anything? Do something. Turn this off and get something done. Create something. You don't need to watch a movie. Create your own movie. I just can't stop that voice.
But without a visual mind, I've figured out all this stuff that when people say like, well, picture it if it went like this. And I've always been like, And I realize, they actually are putting a picture in their mind.
Huh.
They're remembering someone's face with a picture. And when I think of echolocation, I think of it as like a super sophisticated kind of mind. And imagine being a whale that doesn't have an articulate echolocation mind compared to a whale that can see like every little scale on every little fish. I mean, there must be, in a mammal, there must be the same sort of spectrum of ability. And some whales are like so good at being able to see every little bottom feeder. And some whales are like, duh, I'm just following my mom.
Well, the transients that don't use echolocation because they don't want the seals to know, they're probably like, duh.
Yeah, duh.
But it seems much more frustrating to me to be able to echolocate and then not have language to speak it to us. Like, they're seeing all kinds of... Okay, here's the craziest story. There was a trainer at SeaWorld once who was a woman, and she always worked with this whale. And one day she gets to work, and the whale is acting like she's pregnant. And she's like, that's so weird because I'm not pregnant. And she goes home and takes a pregnancy test, and she is pregnant because the whale can see through her body. It can see the heartbeat in her belly because it's echolocating and there's something moving in there. So the orca knew that she had a baby inside her before she did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a reason to capture orca and put them to work finding cancer and stuff.
Looking into enclosed spaces for us.
Well, so what happened last month? There was all this hullabaloo that the J-Pod had gone under the Tacoma Narrows Bridge for the first time in decades.
Yeah.
Did you read about this? And which one is the J-Pod and what made that such a big deal?
So J-Pod is a southern resident pod. It's not the one Lolita was part of. She was an L. But yeah, not only that happened, last year they finally saw southern residents in Penn, Cove again.
No way.
With the idea that maybe they're younger now and they don't have this memory of the 1970 incident, or maybe the wind was just too strong and they had to pull in there for a little bit.
But there are whales still alive that remember 1970?
Yeah, I think so. I know Granny had been there and Granny was alive for a long time, but Granny's no longer with us now. But and I think she was J2. So she would have been part of the J-Pod. But there might still be whales that survived Penn Cove. Obviously, the younger ones were scooped up and sold off, so there were already the older ones who were just the remainers. So maybe not, I'm not sure. But anyway, the point that you're bringing up is, J-Pod south of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in late September, which is not the season when they're usually down there. I was reading up on this, and they say that it's a good sign. It means there's more salmon down there than there usually is this time of year. So there's videos of them cavorting and having fun and splashing around and looking to be enjoying life. And they would only be down there if there was enough salmon to feed them. And there hasn't been for years. So it's actually a very encouraging sign that they saw J-Pod down by the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in late September.
It's nice to end the show on a happy note.
It is nice. It is nice. Also, none of this stuff happens at SeaWorld anymore. I believe all of the captive from Puget Sound whales are now dead. And I believe in most parks, humans can't swim with the whales anymore.
They can swim with the dolphins.
Yes.
But we've established that dolphins are idiots.
Dolphins, like orcas are dolphins, have like 6 times larger brains than we do. So,
right.
But they can't say a word. They're just squealing all the time.
What do they have to talk about? Just like, I peeled paint off the wall. Yeah, me too.
Poor Flipper, whoever, there was a dolphin who played Flipper who also, I think, committed suicide the way that Hugo had. Just went crazy in the pool and killed itself.
We were about to end the show on a happy note, and then you're like back to this whale suicide.
I'm so sorry, but it's... So anyway, it's a really good sign that the J-Pod is back down there in the water at Tacoma Narrows Bridge.
Well, thank you for coming on the show and telling us all about the horrible tragedy, but in the end, the hopeful recovery of the Puget Sound Orca.
Yeah, the southern resident.
Yeah.
No one ever talks about the horrible tragedy of the mussels there at Puget Sound and Penn Cove, which that's a daily ongoing genocide of mussels.
If you listen, you can hear the mussels screaming. And that concludes the Penn Cove whale capture. Entry 916.JB0712. Certificate number 41344 in the omnibus. Futureling's social media, as I've said before, is an unholy trash fire, and we disavow it. Yet, we continue to contribute to Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Reddit, etc., at Omnibus Project. You can congregate with other fans. Anywhere you put the word Futurelings in, they will appear out of the mist. You can email us, and please do, at theomnibusproject@gmail.com. That's a marvelous place to send email for me to read during our addenda show once a month. It's not a good place to suggest a show or to pitch yourself as a possible co-host. What you should do there is go to theomnibusproject.com, and you'll find a tab that says submit, and go there and submit your proposal. You can mail things to us at the Omnibus Project, 609 Southwest 150th Street, number 48084, Burien, Washington, 98166. Please consider supporting the show at patreon.com/omnibusproject. The show is Patreon supported, and there's a lot of bonus material there, including the aforementioned addenda show, and lots of stuff from our earlier incarnation, and now new and exciting stuff for our future Patreon supporters. So go to patreon.com/omnibusproject, and it is well worth the money. I did not remember to have Christopher read this outro when he recorded the show. So, I can't do a very good impression of him. So I'm just going to read the outro in Christopher's stead, and you'll have to imagine him. Also, the show was not video recorded, so you're going to have to imagine him in a lot of ways. But if you Google Christopher Frizzell, you can get a picture. Futurelings, from our vantage point in your distant past, we have no idea how long our civilization survived. We hope and pray that the catastrophe we fear may never come. If the worst comes soon, this recording, like all our recordings, may have been our final word. But if Providence allows, we wish you many goods and cheese, and hope to be back with you soon for another entry in the Omnibus.